Did the Founding Fathers really believe the things they said in the Declaration of Independence about everyone being created equal in terms of the rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness? Did they put those principles into practice? The answer is an unequivocal yes. To give just one example of this, in just one generation following July 4th, 1776, a total of 8 states provided for either the immediate or gradual end of slavery. Vermont, 1777, Pennsylvania, 1780, Massachusetts, 1783, Connecticut and Rhode Island in 1784, New Hampshire in 1789, New York in 1799, New Jersey, 1804. Over 100,000 slaves were freed either by legislation or the choice of individual slave owners, even in southern states where it was not legally required. The founding generation's negative view of slavery is further demonstrated by the precedent-setting enactment of the Northwest Ordinance in 1787. In one of the first pieces of legislation concerning territory outside of the original 13 states, the Congress, under our first plan of government, the Articles of Confederation, banned slavery in the region north of the Ohio River and west of the Appalachian Mountains. The land had previously been claimed by the state of Virginia, which relinquished it to the new nation. It was Virginian Thomas Jefferson, the author of the Declaration of Independence, who proposed that the transfer take place only if slavery were permanently banned in the region. The law would be passed again by Congress after the Constitution was ratified in 1788 and signed by President Washington. Eventually, 6 free states were carved out of the territory. Most of the founders believed that slavery was in direct conflict with the principles of the Declaration of Independence and the American Revolution. This was true even among several Southern attendees to the Constitutional Convention who expressed a growing realization that slavery was at odds with the American project. These included George Mason of Virginia and Luther Martin of Maryland. Although many of the delegates wanted to end human bondage, there were some in the slaveholding states of the South who refused, insisting it was a necessary evil. However, as both President Abraham Lincoln and abolitionist Frederick Douglass would later observe, neither slave nor slavery was ever mentioned in the Constitution. Instead, person and service or labor which may be due were used. Now, according to Lincoln, this mode of alluding to slaves and slavery, instead of speaking of them, was employed on purpose to exclude from the Constitution the idea that there should be property in man. Thus, the Constitution can be said to recognize the existence of human bondage, but not to endorse human bondage. Why did the Founding Fathers not abolish slavery if so many of them were opposed to it on moral grounds? According to James Madison's notes from the proceedings of the Constitutional Convention, slavery was the most heated topic among delegates. If slavery's opponents had forced the issue, the odds were that its supporters would have left and formed a separate country with slavery firmly entrenched. No one would have been free. Consequently, as President Lincoln would later explain, the policy of the founding generation was to contain slavery in the hope that this would lead to its ultimate abolition. Lincoln suggested that the Founding Fathers had provided 2 means in the United States Constitution to accomplish this goal. The first was for the federal government to enforce the ban on the slave trade, the importation of slaves into the country. This was signed into law by President Jefferson in 1808. The second was for Congress to use its power to regulate slavery in new territories to block its expansion there. Lincoln believed that these 2 measures would contain slavery in the South, starve it of new laborers and new lands, and result in the death of human bondage in America. Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please like, share, and follow my Facebook page or subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thank you.